Everyone has a story. Stories have power. They help us understand. Jessop's Journal is a collection of powerful, positive, and inspirational stories. It's time for Jessop's Journal.
Hi, I'm Doug Jessop. Welcome to this episode of Jessop's Journal, where we share powerful, positive, and inspirational stories in music. In this episode, we're going to do a little traveling. We're going to do gardening. But what are you thankful for? You're going to find out what I'm thankful for in some of the stories today. But first, let's start out with a wonderful musician and a pretty nice person as well. A person by the name of Clara Hurdato Lee. Hi, I'm Doug Jessop. Welcome to this episode of Jessop's Journal. With me today, this woman right here, Clara Hurdato Lee. Okay, fancy. Okay. So I got to ask, Hurdato, what nationality is that?
It's Peruvian.
Peruvian?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's cool. I wouldn't have guessed that. So tell me about this song, this video that you're doing.
Oh, so the song is called Adiemus, and it was originally composed by Carl Jenkins, who is a Welsh composer, and he wrote it for a Delta Airlines commercial.
Exactly. I'm like, that's cool. What's the idea or the process that you did when you were selecting this and putting it all together?
I'm so glad you asked me that. That's a really great question. So yeah, when I mentioned the world music aspect that we wanted to capitalize on when we chose that song, but partly why I was interested in that is because of my Peruvian heritage. I really wanted to do something that drew upon that and expressed it. So Adiemus, it's kind of got a little bit of a Celtic feel, a little bit of a African feel with the rhythms and the drums. But to me, it feels like tribal, like it could be indigenous people from any culture.
Well, I have to admit, when I was, listening to this and watching it, I'm going, I could kind of imagine some of this little, the Peruvian panpipe, going, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I heard your name and going, okay, I thought it was Spanish, but Peruvian, okay, yeah, that works.
Yeah. Well, you're right. It is Spanish because that's where it came from originally. Yeah. Yeah, and as we were preparing to film the video, we had these beautiful girls in the children's chorus, and I was trying to figure out, how are we going to costume everyone? What kind of feel do I want? And I kept going back to Peru and other cultures, but I really felt like I can take ownership of that because it's part of me and without offending any cultures. So we found some clothing, some authentic Peruvian clothing for these girls. And the woodwind player, Darren Bradford, he's playing an authentic flute from Peru called a quena. And then just randomly, I was running a 5K, and afterwards there was a petting zoo and there was a alpaca.
Of course there was.
Yeah. So I met this cute alpaca. It actually kissed me on the lips. I was like, this is the funniest little animal. But I talked to Cameron, the director, and I said, hey, Cameron, is there any way we could get some alpacas for our video?
Well, I do have to admit, Zach, the camera guy, he did ask, hey, Doug, are they going to bring any alpacas today? It's like,
oh, I should have asked because I bet that they would have loved to come.
Next time.
Yeah, these little alpacas, mac and cheese, are so affectionate.
Okay.
They're adorable.
Your style is more operatic, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
What attracted you to that? I mean, why that genre?
I think I just had exposure to it at an early age, and it was, it's hard to say because I think my voice was conducive towards that, but I also started singing in an opera chorus when I was 6 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I had those opportunities, and then as I got older, I branched out and I did a lot of choral music and a lot of musical theater and things, but it was kind of like, well, you can do this. You can do the high coloratura stuff. So, and my heart was in it too. Once I got past that stage of thinking it wasn't cool.
Mm-hmm. I warned you. I warned her. Okay, so don't think I'm being mean. Okay, a little command performance here, okay? One of my favorite pieces in Italian is this song where there's this young lady and she's just begging her father to help her get connected with her sweetheart. Okay, you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to tell a little bit about what it is, and then I'm going to ask you to sing some of it. Okay.
Okay. Thanks. So the opera is Johnny Skiki, and the character's name is Lauretta. She's in love with Rinuccio, and his family is in the middle of this crazy battle over his uncle's will. Wozo Donati. It takes place in Florence. I don't know how much detail. Just plan on editing all that out.
What's it called?
Okay.
What's the song?
So the song is called O mio bambino caro from Johnny Skiki. And Lauretta is begging her father to let her marry her true love. And she threatens that if he doesn't do it, she's going to take herself to the Ponte Vecchio, which is a famous bridge, and throw herself in the Arno.
Yep. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, okay, little sample right here, right now.
Okay, it's coming. O mio bambino caro, mi piace bello, bello.
Okay.
I don't know if I should do that again.
There's a question that I ask everybody. Okay. To me, life comes with scars. Okay. This is my journal. Okay. And, with leather, it kind of gets, marks and all that kind of stuff. But again, that's just part of life.
Mm-hmm.
So, Clara, how do you want to leave your mark?
I've thought about this a lot in the past few years because I lost my father in 2018. And when you're writing someone's obituary and you're creating a funeral service, you really get to see a picture of the scope of what they've left, right? So I really want to be a wonderful mother. That's probably my biggest goal. And leave my kids a legacy of knowing how to live a good life. Secondly, I want to leave music that blesses people's lives, that helps bring light. Like I was talking about, bring light, bring peace to this world that we live in. And I guess my third thing would be my faith. I want people to remember that I was a person with faith.
With another entry in a Jessop's journal with Clara Hurdato Lee. Got it right?
Yes, that was great.
I'm Doug Jessop. This week, we're traveling to Rome, Italy. When you think of Rome, you probably think of the Colosseum. But did you know that there is actually a country inside the city of Rome called Vatican City? They even have their own police and the Swiss Guard. We came on what was deemed a slow day with only 10,000 people. A normal day is closer to 30,000 people. Artwork abounds inside the Vatican Museum. One of Raphael's most widely known paintings, The School of Athens, is not painted on a canvas. It's actually painted directly on the wall. By the way, check out the self-portrait Raphael put on the painting. He's the guy wearing the red robe and the black hat. My favorite part was visiting St. Peter's Basilica. Michelangelo's Pieta sculpture was breathtaking. Here's something you might not know. In 1497, he was in his early 20s, and this sculpture was his audition to do more sculptures and paintings. I'd say he passed. Another factoid, all of the art at the Basilica are mosaics. Of course, with a name like St. Peter's Basilica, yes, the church is built upon Peter's tomb. With another entry into Jessop's Journeys, People, Places, and Things You Might Not Know About, broadcasting from St. Peter's Square, and those Vatican guard guys, was first clue. I'm Doug Jessop. One of my favorite inspirational quotes is from Audrey Hepburn. She said, "To plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow." Hi, this is Doug Jessop, TV Garden Guy. I'm at my happy place with Lorene, where,
Every day's a great day.
of course, you got all the plants here at Mill Creek Gardens, and you guys have been here for 50 plus years. Lorene, you told me about all the different things you've got coming in, but it's not just the flowers.
Well, we have still a lot of fresh veggie starts.
I love that you have over 200 hydrangeas that came in this week. What people don't know is the containers.
We have lots of pots.
People ask a lot of the time is, okay, I don't have a big yard, or I've got an apartment. I can't grow
You can
veggies.
grow just about anything in a container. Someone here was here the other day buying carrots of all things, and he goes, "I'm putting these in a container garden. How far apart?" And I said, "Just 1 to 2 inches if it's a container garden."
So if you think you don't have enough space, you're wrong.
Come on over, get gardening, and have a great day, because
Every day's a great day at Mill Creek Gardens. Ba-da-ba-bum. Be watching TV Garden Guy every Thursday and Friday on Studio 5, Fresh Living, Good Things Utah, and Fox 13's The Place. Everyone has a story. Objects with stories, now those are treasures remembered. With me, Brandon Fugel. So, Brandon, you and I have had lots of conversations, and you have some really, really cool artifacts. And as you know, objects with stories are treasures remembered. So, what have you brought for us today?
I brought a very important item. It holds a very special place in movie history, cinematic history. The number one ranked movie by IMDb, by the Internet Movie Database, is The Shawshank Redemption. Many people are surprised to hear that, but it has been the number one ranked movie for over a decade. And the principal artifact or prop from that movie is in this pelican case.
Drum roll, please.
I acquired this very special item at auction this past year. This is the Holy Bible from The Shawshank Redemption.
The actual one, on camera.
The 1994 classic movie, which was inspired by Stephen King's short story, Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption, brought to life on the silver screen, and a very dramatic tale.
I believe in 2 things, discipline and the Bible.
Andy Dufresne, who was wrongly imprisoned and ends up spending over 20 years imprisoned at Shawshank prison, made his escape by utilizing a rock hammer that he hid in a certain Bible. Most people consider the climactic moment where the warden goes to his safe to retrieve the documents that he had kept, all of those years, and then finds this Bible there deposited, and opens the Bible to find a message written. "Dear Warden, you were right. Salvation lay within. Andy Dufresne." And then, somewhat symbolically, he turns the pages and opens the Bible to the book of Exodus,
Oh, wow.
revealing the cutout for a rock hammer that had been sequestered away in this Bible for 20 years as Andy Dufresne slowly and methodically plotted his escape from the prison. It is an incredible story of redemption. It is a classic, and this, my friend, I believe is arguably the most important prop from the number one ranked movie of all time.
Wow. And not coincidental on the Exodus thing. Yeah, that's cool.
Very symbolic. But his journey throughout that movie, and the ultimate payoff in the end when the warden finds in his safe this Holy Bible that had been the method of escape for Andy Dufresne is quite a unique piece. They only made one. So according to the producer, director Frank Darabont, who brought this story to life, they only made one of these. They didn't have a backup because the process associated with painstakingly cutting out that rock hammer and fashioning this book was so lengthy, was so exhaustive, that they only had, really, from a practical perspective, one opportunity to make this. So this is one of a kind, and I believe that it holds a special place, not only in cinematic history, but also in our cultural history.
Beautiful. Now, I'm going to close with, okay, it's dad joke alert, okay? Just remember, the truth shall set you free.
Indeed.
With another entry into Treasures Remembered with Brandon Fugel, I'm Doug Jessop. What are you thankful for? I'm thankful for a group called Primary Children's Hospital, and specifically Dr. Pears Geslin. Obviously, you're a doctor, so what kind of doctor are you?
So I'm what's called a pediatric hospitalist. So that means I
fantastic.
take care of pediatric patients just in hospitalized settings, specifically Primary Children's Hospital.
What in the world possessed you to become a doctor?
I grew up in a family rich with science and healthcare background. My grandfather was a pediatrician in Madison, Wisconsin. My mother was a pediatric nurse practitioner, worked up at the Teen Mom clinic up here at the University of Utah. And my father was a geneticist who brought us out here from Long Island, New York, back in the mid-late 1970s.
I understand that you have a special object that has a story behind it.
So there's a couple objects that are really powerful to me. One of them is an old doctor's bag I keep in my office at home that's filled with my grandfather's old tools that he would, take around and back when docs did, home visits to take care of patients. So that one keeps me grounded about a generation of physicians who practiced with a whole lot less knowledge than we have nowadays, and an older set of tools, and a time when polio was ripping through the country and scaring lots of people. So that one keeps me grounded about the history of medicine. I have another picture that's in my office at work of my mother working in clinic and examining a young baby that keeps me grounded in that transition to now me practicing pediatrics at one of the best children's hospitals in the West.
So you mentioned something there about knowledge. To me, knowledge is power. And you also talked about polio. Now, I heard a news report the other day that bluntly scared the crap out of me, because I'm going, okay, they're saying that they've actually seen another case of polio in the U.S., and I thought it was eradicated. So you are actually doing some research and some database tracing of some sort, but you got to explain it a lot better than I can.
Sure.
So explain what this Germ Watch type program is.
Yeah, so GermWatch has been a baby of mine of sorts, dating back to the early 2000s. You can now test for infectious disease organisms. As everybody knows, you can swab your nose and pretty quickly find out if you've got certain infections. The technology nowadays allows you to test for multiple pathogens at the same time and get that information back within a matter of an hour. So we can have some tests that allow us to test for 20 different respiratory illnesses on a single swab or a single specimen. And then if you imagine that type of testing capability in a large integrated healthcare delivery system like Intermountain Healthcare has, of which Primary Children's is a part, you can start to aggregate that information, all those data points, and then literally turn that data into information in the form of epidemic curves and maps. And then if you got the right dissemination channels through web pages, through your mobile phone, you can put that information right into the hands of our frontline clinicians and even our healthcare consumers in the state.
So consumers can check out this information
Yeah,
as well.
so we've strived over the last several years to create something akin to a viral weather report that's readily consumable for the public, that comes along with descriptions and action items and things to watch for, so that if you're in the middle of the night, your kid has a fever and a cough, and you're kind of wondering what's going around, you can go at least get some sense of what we're seeing throughout our clinics and our hospital systems in the state.
Okay, so shameless plug, what's the website that people would go to?
So it's germwatch.org or .com or .net, and you can get to it through any of those URLs.
Good job. Well, thank you so much for what you do, and thanks for coming on Jessop's Journal.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Meet twin brothers Arthur and Ben Hamilton. active 2-year-olds. Arthur happens to have spina bifida.
Spina bifida is a congenital disorder, so babies are born with spina bifida, and the congenital disorder is of the spine. So when the spine formed, part of the spinal cord and the tissues overlying the spinal cord emerged through the back.
The University of Utah Health and Primary Children's Hospital provide a team approach with 12 specialists for every child dealing with spina bifida.
Our focus is not to just focus on the medical issues, but we want to help families and meet the challenge of helping their children be independent and love life and function in the community at every major stage of development.
What can the community do to help families like the Hamiltons?
Sometimes another child will say to their parent, oh, why is he in a chair? And other parents will kind of shush their child. And I'd much rather have them come up to me or my child and say, hey, tell me a little bit more about what this chair does for you or what you need.
What's something that you want people to know about your boys?
I think that kids just want to be kids, and kids want to play and be accepted and loved for who they are, including their differences, but more of their similarities. Arthur likes to do so much like any other 2-year-old. And it always warms my heart when people realize that. Oh, you want Doug to do it?
You want me to do it? Yeah. Okay, awesome.
What do you say?
Sweet. There was this broadcaster, Art Linkletter, a long time ago that used to say, kids say the darndest things. Well, I gotta tell you, just a quick little story. One of my grandkids came up to me a while back and asked me a question that I'm going, wow, that's pretty profound. So I figured I'd ask everyone out there that same question. What's your gift from God?
My husband and I came across an inexpensive saxophone, and he started tweaking the horn. So by the end, we had changed this inexpensive saxophone to sound as good as this very expensive saxophone.
Instruments come from Cannonball's 2 overseas factories to their headquarters in Sandy for finishing touches, including adding beautiful and functional stones.
We have a patent on our stones because they make the instruments play more vibrantly and change the pitch.
Then it's off to hand engraving, regulating to make sure there are no leaks, play tested with trade secret methods, inspected, adjusted, inspected again, and then finally packed. With Jobs of the Week, I'm Doug Jessop. Everyone has a story. Sometimes the stories are told through music. It's time for Jessop's Jukebox. What makes you smile? Spry Natural Xylitol mints make me smile. I think it might help you too. Thanks for watching this episode of Jessop's Journal, where we share powerful, positive, and inspirational stories and music. Here's the thing I want people to remember. You know what I'm going to say, so you can say it. Everyone has a story. Stories have power. They help us understand each other. With another entry in Jessop's Journal, I'm Doug Jessop.